All right. And welcome to another Skyline speaker series. And today we're here with Alyssa Parr, entrepreneur and CEO of Luminescent Dreams, the Squarespace web design company she founded 3 years ago. She'll be speaking with you all about lessons she's learned as a new and now much more seasoned business owner, and be able to answer all your questions about how to start your own freelance design business if that path is of interest to you. So she'll start by giving a talk, followed by a Q&A. And so please note down all your questions you have for Alyssa for the Q&A portion afterwards. And it's my pleasure to introduce you to Alyssa.
Yay! Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here with you all. Let me get my presentation up on the screen. Let's see. Can you see this okay? All right. Perfect. So this is a really beautiful time because it's almost my 3-year business anniversary, and I spoke to Eddie's students 2 years ago, and my presentation was like pretty different back then because now I've learned a lot of harder lessons about being an entrepreneur and running a business. But yeah, I'm excited to share my experience and hopefully answer some questions to help you all figure out if this path is right for you. So here, let me just move some Zoom things around real quick. Okay, here we go. So my name's Alyssa Parr. I'm a 28-year-old creative entrepreneur, currently living in Huntington Valley, Pennsylvania, but I've kind of moved around a lot just over the past 5 years. And in 2020, during the pandemic, I launched a boutique web design studio called Luminescent Dreams. This business has really shaped me into the person I am today and has taught me a lot about what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur. So yeah, without further ado, I'll just do a brief timeline of my transition into UX design. So back in 2018, I graduated from Cal Poly SLO with a Bachelor of Architecture degree. And I always had a curiosity for entrepreneurship, and I used to compete in startup competitions while I was in college. But then right after college, I did the standard like 9-to-5 job working for an architecture firm in San Francisco. And that's the path that I thought I would be on, just becoming an architect. But while in San Francisco, I learned about UX design from some friends and enrolled in Eddie's part-time UX design course at General Assembly, which is where I met Patricia, who just presented. And yeah, it's been awesome just staying in touch with Eddie over the years from all of that, just starting out. And then my transition through UX design was a little bumpy. I was applying to jobs in the Bay Area, but not having any luck. And then I moved to Australia randomly for 8 months and got a job working for a startup company doing UX design and sales. And it was really cool because we were at a co-working space for startups. And so I networked with all these other startup companies and made a bunch of friends who are all in the startup realm, and actually ended up collaborating with one of the other companies there on a future project, like way after my time there. But at that job, when I was doing UX design and sales for the startup, I learned all about sales proposals and how to set up online systems to run a business. So it was more so like behind the scenes UX design for the company itself, with like project management and client booking systems and stuff like that. So then 2020 happened, and at the start of the pandemic, I moved back to the US to figure out the next chapter of my life. I was still applying to UX design jobs, but just online. And yeah, it was such a weird time during the quarantine stuff. And I wasn't having any luck with jobs, but people kept asking me to design their website for them, just like friends and family members. And it just, the project started to pick up, and I was like, you know what, let's just start an LLC and start my own web design business. So 3 years later, my business is still here. I've now built dozens of websites and have made really genuine connections with all of my clients. I've even visited a few of them in person while my fiance and I were on a road trip through California last year, and just really getting to make those one-on-one connections and like see the impact that it's making in the world and the kind of projects that my clients are working on, that building their website has helped help them continue to grow and evolve, is just really really satisfying, and why I still have my business and keep doing the work. Also, it's after 3 years, I've really defined my brand and what makes me unique and the types of services that I do and don't offer through a lot of trial and error. I think I've redesigned my website and own brand like 4 different times, and now I'm like very happy with where it's at and feel very comfortable and confident in it. But it did take a lot of time trying to figure that out. I'm now considered a Squarespace expert. So Squarespace, the platform, has me listed on their expert marketplace, which is really cool and pretty unique. And I've become known for being really fast at building websites. And one of my signature services is my VIP days, where people can just book me for 4 hours to make custom edits to their website. So it's almost like a performance. Like we start off with a call, I work on their website, and then in 4 hours, all the edits are done and we've like confirmed any revisions. So it's, instead of like going back and forth over emails for a couple of weeks trying to like work on a project or make revisions with a client, the VIP days are like this really quick, succinct way of getting the work done. And that's kind of something I made up and really dialed in, that positions me in a sweet spot between like a freelancer and an agency. And then just recently, I launched a website template shop. So I'm looking forward to selling more digital products where people can purchase my template, watch the tutorial videos, and DIY their website. And I'm also working on building out a YouTube channel with tutorial videos for people to learn Squarespace better and just be more empowered in editing their website with open source information. So I absolutely love running my own business and working from anywhere. Like right now, I'm visiting my mom in South Carolina and having a pretty chill work week and lots of family time. And although I've had a lot of freedom and flexibility, I haven't always had things haven't always been very comfortable or stable financially. And so that's been like a huge thing that I've been working throughout my business. But I'm starting to, figure it out and just getting better with all of that as I grow. What has helped me be the most successful and balanced is really treating my business like a 9-to-5 job with sick and vacation time and paying myself like an employee. I think a lot of people think, oh, like running your own business, you can work from anywhere. And there's all this, it's like overly glorified a lot of times on the internet, especially by like YouTubers and people that are selling things related to starting a business. But I've found you can either be working all the time and your brain is like never shut off and you're always like have this anxiety about work, or you're like working is like bleeding into all of your other like personal life things, or you can be working on your business and like perfecting your website and like working at a really chill, slow pace, but not actually booking clients and getting paid. And so, I think for me, finding that balance has just been like showing up like a 9-to-5 job Monday to Friday and giving it the time and energy, and then like closing the door at the end of the day and like enjoying the rest of my life. And then, I've seen the web design industry and technology change so much just in the past 3 years. Even Squarespace as a platform and their entire website editor has changed drastically. But I love keeping up with the technology and just continuing to master my craft and learn different web design trends, and yeah, just keep up with it all. So a couple pros and cons of running a business before I get into the core parts of my presentation. Some pros is that once you know how to successfully run a business and market yourself, you can quickly pivot and adapt in your career no matter what happens with the economy and technology. Recently, I've heard like a lot of people have concerns about AI potentially replacing UX design types of jobs, and yeah, a lot of uncertainty around what's going to happen with the economy in the future. But if you know how to, yeah, start a business, market it, and grow it and make sales, you'll always, like, if I wanted to just, if for some reason I ran out of clients and wanted to become a yoga teacher in a day, I could just like completely pivot, set up an online system to teach yoga classes and book clients, and like, yeah, shift my entire business. And because I know how to set those things up. Also, technically, the sky's the limit, and you can make as much money or have as much freedom and flexibility in your life as you want while running a business if you set things up properly. But as I'll get into in the cons here, it takes a lot of discipline and responsibility and knowledge just to get to that place. So it's not just easy breezy. And it can be incredibly satisfying to work with clients one-on-one and see the impact you're able to make in the world through your business every single day. So yeah, something awesome about running a business is that if you have really specific causes or yeah, things that you care about, you can choose to work for clients in those industries and just, yeah, be making that difference through your business. Because yeah, you could choose to work for a company that does that stuff, but yeah, running your business, you can do that as well. Some cons of running a business is that it takes lots of discipline and responsibility when things get tough. You can't just like quit your job and hide or run away. There's always going to be clients and ongoing business things that require your attention. So if I ever decided to shut down my business, like, yeah, I would need to cancel all my subscriptions and reach out to clients, or like there's lots of ongoing threads and things that come along with running a business. And yeah, in some cases, businesses end up selling to larger companies when they're ready to retire. And but yeah, it's kind of like having a child or a pet. It's like this living, breathing entity that's like now a part of your life that you need to show up for. I will say another con is that freelancing can be a great short-term option in between jobs. But if you're looking for a full-time job for a larger company in the future, I feel like running your own business for more than like a year might not look so great on your resume. There could be other thoughts around that, but I feel like, yeah, to stay relevant in the job market, it probably looks better to work for established companies than to run your own business, depending on what type of job you're looking for. So that is a potential risk. And then another con is that as an entrepreneur, you will have to wear many or all of the hats in your business. So in addition to your client work, you also have to handle all of your own sales, marketing, bookkeeping, etc. So yeah, your client work might only be 50 to 75% of your time, and the rest of the time you're spending just running your business. And you have to learn all of those things unless you can afford hiring help for different aspects. And yeah, right now I have a bookkeeping service and company that I use that handles my bookkeeping and taxes, but everything else that I do is fully myself. So getting into the some of the core parts of my presentation, I'll cover briefly. I have some like brainstorming exercises that you could do on your own after this if you want, or pause the video if you're watching the replay. But yeah, brainstorming the 3 components of running a successful business is for me all about number 1, finding your niche and doing what you love. Number 2, launching and growing your business. Number 3, booking clients consistently and mastering your craft. So part 1, when it comes to finding your niche and doing what you love, this is all about getting clear about who you are and the type of work that you want to do, and branding, marketing, and storytelling to your ideal clients. So I came up with these questions that you can, watch, or if you're watching the replay, you can pause this and brainstorm on your own time and journal about it. And even if you don't want to start your own business, this exercise will just like help gain some clarity around what types of jobs and companies you might want to apply to work for in the future. So number 1, what type of work absolutely lights you up? So that might be web design, branding, UI design, UX research, app development, etc. What sorts of clients do you want to serve? So whether, if you want to work for, or work with tech companies, that's going to look a lot different than small businesses and solopreneurs, which is a lot different from nonprofits and larger corporations. And what is the unique value that you bring to the table? So what's your superpower? Are you a really good active listener? Maybe you're a really great designer or super innovative. So as you're brainstorming those things, you can then take those 3 components, and that's going to ultimately shape your brand identity and how you market yourself on your portfolio website, on your LinkedIn bio, on your social media channels, or whatever, whatever like outward facing things you're showcasing your expertise for. So I'm not going to walk through all of these little bullet points because this is more so if you're reflecting on this after our presentation today, but some things, some tips and recommendations when you're thinking about what type of work lights you up and which direction you want to go in. I recommend picking a niche or a direction, at least to start, because if you're just open and available for any type of work that comes your way, you just might run into a lot of roadblocks or challenges. And some things that have been really important for me is deciding what platforms I do and don't work with. When I first started my business, I was willing to work with a lot of different platforms. I tried Webflow, a little bit of WordPress, Editor X, which is actually made by Wix, Squarespace, and Duda. And now I only work with Squarespace. And once I made that decision, like so many, things just became so much easier for me because I was only attracting clients that had Squarespace websites or wanted to use Squarespace as a platform. And a lot of the, just like annoying, challenging aspects of other platforms, like I just didn't have to deal with anymore. Also, something to consider is what types of deliverables will you produce for your clients? Are you available for ongoing work or only one-time projects? And would you rather work on several small projects at once or one large project at a time? I typically have like 1 to 2 bigger clients at all times. And then I'm available for VIP days if people want to book one like once or twice a week. And having a variety has been helpful because when I finish up one, like other new projects can start before some of the other current projects are finished. So there's, as much like overlap as I can create as possible helps minimize any like gaps in my income. And then thinking about the type of clientele you want to serve. This is super important because this especially plays into the type of wording you'll use on your website or resume, and what types of colors, fonts, and graphic styles you want to use, because ultimately your website and your brand is about establishing trust and credibility with your clients. And so the design, some of the best design advice I've ever received for web designers specifically is that your website and your brand should be a reflection of like the type of work you do for your clients. And so like, even if I had a super fun creative style and I had like cartoons and neon colors, like if that was like my vibe, but I wanted to work with like really large nonprofit organizations, they might not take me seriously if my website didn't like resonate with them or build that trust with them. And so picking, and in some cases, like you might want to call yourself a web designer, or you might want to call yourself a web developer, depending on what your client is expecting of you. And so those are just some like little nuances to keep in mind as you're coming up with your brand identity. And then for articulating your unique superpowers and value, it's really awesome to brainstorm like what makes you unique and special. And this could have nothing to do with UX design. It could be more related to who you are as a person, your story, your motivation, your big why. And if you can weave this into your branding, marketing, and storytelling in some way, even if it's just like a little blurb on your website's about page, it'll help you stand out from your competition and just build those more genuine, authentic connections with your target clientele. And it is okay to be polarizing too. I think like ultimately you're going to attract certain customers and clients or employers and repel others. And that's okay. That's part of like design communicates, can like make people resonate with you or not. And to be, just mindful of that is helpful to know. So part 2, this is just some super practical things around getting organized with your finances, taxes, and business paperwork, and things that I wish I knew when I first started my business. I feel like I started my business with an open heart and I was very naive and just like, I'm going to build websites for people and it's going to be great. But now I've been getting my butt kicked in like taxes and finances and just a lot of the things that come with running a business. And so I wanted to show like a little graphic for this around, like calculating your taxes and monthly income. So let's say you want your net salary, your money in the bank, to be around $5,000 each month. If you work for a company, you're going to have a gross salary, which is more than $5,000 a month. And your company takes out taxes, your 401k. Sometimes they match your 401k, so you're getting additional money from that. They're also, either taking out or covering your health insurance as well. And so that's all going on behind the scenes when you work for someone else. And all you're seeing at the end of the day is like the $5,000 that is in your bank account each month. But if you work for yourself, you have to do that for yourself from day one, or else like taxes sneak up on you, or you just forget about it, or I don't even know. And so I did like a little diagram. Your taxes really depends on the state that you live in, and you'll definitely want to talk to a professional. So these are just arbitrary numbers, but I've linked 2 different resources down here that talk about tax brackets and like an income tax calculator that you could take a look at if you're interested in. But as a general rule of thumb, like 15 to 25% of all the money you make for your business should definitely be saved for taxes. If you're making a lot of money, it could be up to 35%. But for smaller businesses and stuff, yeah, 15 to 25% is pretty normal. And then you will, running a business costs money. And so, my business expenses are around plus or minus 500 a month on average. And then, you'll want to make sure you're saving up for your retirement as well and putting money aside out of every paycheck, or else, you have to do that for yourself because somebody else isn't doing that for you. So these are just estimated numbers, but if you work for yourself, you might actually have to make like $8,000 in gross income from your clients a month to have $5,000 a month of actual money in your bank account. But just a couple additional things to keep in mind related to that is to keep your business expenses and personal expenses always in separate bank accounts from the start, just to make things really clear and organized. My bank actually, like every time I get paid, it separates. I set up percentages of like a percentage for tax savings, a percentage for business expenses. And every time I get paid, my bank automatically divvies up the money into those percentages, which is really helpful. And I recommend hiring a professional bookkeeper, an accountant from day one, unless you really want to learn QuickBooks. And the 15 to 25% for taxes, and always making sure to take out a percentage for retirement. 10% is always a good number. And be prepared with health insurance coverage. So unless you're still on your parents' plan or you're on your spouse's health insurance plan, then you're going to have to cover that for yourself if you run a business. And I recommend, just always keeping track of your business expenses and only purchasing things that you really need. When I first started my business, and when you start a business too, like you're going to get targeted ads for business owners. And I was signing up for so many different online courses and coaching programs. And I was just like adding on all these different expenses and trying out different online tools. And there was a point where my business expenses were like over $1,000, even at one point, like $2,000 a month. And I was like paying all these different things, but not really paying myself. And I racked up a lot of credit card debt, and then just like coincidentally had 3 months of almost no client work, even though I was like trying super hard and reaching out to all these people. And I got to this point where I just had to cancel like every single business subscription because everything, like I didn't have any more money on my credit cards anymore, and I didn't have any money coming in from client projects. And it was like a really dark time in my life where, like, if I had known these things up front, I would have been way more prepared. But I think, it's definitely like, only purchase things you actually need and start small, and then like be really strategic as you grow and what you decide to like invest in for your business, because things can get out of hand really fast, especially if you're like hiring employees and all kinds of things. But with all of that said, I recommend, if you're interested in starting a business, either have at least 3 to 6 months of living and potential business costs saved up first before you start is good, or having a part-time or full-time job. And even if you have a full-time job, like there may be so little time you can spend on your business each week, but definitely having a backup plan or just like dipping your toe into running a business before you just go full send will prevent a lot of chaos and challenging times. But yeah, in an effort to keep my presentation fairly short, I just have a couple of links here if you're interested in seeing, like taking a look at the way that I run my business. I have a link here with some of the different tools I use to run my business. And if you check out my website, you can see the different web design services that I offer. And here you can see I have like a PDF that shows how I price my web design packages, where basically people purchase a package, but then they can like check different add-ons that they want me to do. If they want me to do their branding as well, or like select stock photos for them, I have additional, they can pay for an additional cost to have me do that. Yeah, if you want to see how my proposal is set up, click on that link. And then for my VIP days, that page of my website is pretty clearly written out, like what the terms are and like how it works and stuff, if you wanted to take a look at that. But yeah, something that has helped me stabilize my income a lot during slower seasons of work is just to always have 1 or 2 ongoing clients and just be doing hourly work for them. And typically for those, I'll charge a much lower hourly rate than for my one-time kind of projects, just because it is consistent income. And yeah, one of my ongoing clients, just like a little bit of work each week has added up so much to where they're like a quarter of my business, and they've really like helped keep my business afloat during slower seasons. And so having a variety of projects and clients can be helpful. And yeah, getting into like digital products and potential passive income streams. I know a lot of people do online courses and coaching programs, and that can generate a lot of income as well. So for part 3, all about booking clients and consistently mastering your craft. Yeah, I just had a couple of pro tips to leave you all with before the end of my presentation here. Yeah, my best recommendation on how to book more clients is just to do a great job. Client referrals are still my #1 marketing source. And that's the best because people just reach out and they're like, hey, so-and-so told me that you built their website and I really liked it and they recommended you. And the longer you're in business, the more like clients you'll find that way. Upwork is my #2 best marketing source, which has been great because if I'm ever looking for new clients, I just go on there and you can see like dozens of people posting every single day looking for a Squarespace website, and I can reach out to them, and usually like 1 out of every 10 to 20 people that I reach out to on there, I end up working with them. And then, yeah, I will say like social media and email marketing are a great way to stay in touch with people, but I've personally never found new clients from people like seeing my Instagram account and sending me a message or something. Really, there's a lot of like online things out there that will make you think like you're not doing enough or you need to like follow these other people's strategies for their business. But I think just like client referrals and utilizing platforms like Upwork, I found the most success with. And then, another pro tip is that building any business is all about building relationships. And you're not just building relationships with your clients through your one-on-one communication and interaction with them. It's also through your online presence with your website, social media, sales process, etc. So like your website, your LinkedIn, your Instagram account should be an accurate reflection of how you would speak to someone and present yourself, like if you were working with them. And so, yeah, just trying to be cohesive with all of your graphics and your copywriting and photos and how you articulate your services makes a really big difference in people trusting you and yeah, wanting to work with you. And last but not least, developing your skills, brand, and process takes time. I recommend just starting somewhere and putting yourself out there. Don't get too caught up in like, imposter syndrome or being like, oh, am I good enough to offer these kinds of services and things? Because you just have to put yourself out there, and you can refine the details as you get to know yourself and your brand better. And yeah, something about this photo I wanted to mention. When I was living in Bellingham, Washington last year, and one of the biggest things for me was that I joined a co-working space for women in my local area, and getting out of the house and working at a co-working space that was only open between 9 to 5 each day made a huge difference in my productivity, my mental health. And yeah, I even collaborated with one of the women there and helped her with her website on a VIP day. And like some of the other presenters have mentioned, just building community and like networking and making friends in the industry, or in other industries in your local area, will just make you take yourself more seriously and get excited about the work that you do. So stay in touch, follow me on all the social media channels. And I wanted to offer for all of you, if you wanted, feel free to send me an email and I'll do a free 1-hour mentoring session with you. If you want me to review your portfolio website or have questions about entrepreneurship or Squarespace, I'd love to chat with you one-on-one for free. So yeah, if you're interested, I'll send you a link to book a time. But yeah, that's all for now.
Thank you so much. Yes, let's give a virtual, awkwardly silent round of applause for Alyssa on Zoom. Yeah, so that was awesome. And thank you so much for that generous offer. I hope all of you take advantage of that, because that is, I mean, Alyssa's time is like very valuable, as her clients will attest to. And so that's a really generous offer, Alyssa. Thank you.
Thank you. I had a student reach out like 2 years ago and do some mentoring sessions with me. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, it'd be sweet to, offer that. Let people know it's a thing.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. Questions for Alyssa?
I guess I have one. Since I'm actually currently, as I said at the beginning, I do volunteer work with local organizations and do their websites as well. And you kind of mentioned that you kind of did that with friends when you first got into web design, and then you, of course, transitioned. So can you talk a little about how that transition went? Were people actually, when they got, initially got your expertise for free? Were they willing to sort of then pay to have those services, as you needed to make a living?
Yeah, that's a great question. So even before I went to Australia and worked for that startup company, I had like randomly met this group of people that they were a cryptocurrency startup and needed a website. And back then I did this trade with them where I stayed at one of the founders' houses for a month and got free rent by like building their website. And I was in kind of a transition in my life where I needed a place to live. And so that ended up working out in a weird way. And then one of the startups that I had met in Australia when I moved back to the US during the pandemic, they had reached out that they needed some help. And at the time I think we used Upwork because they were in Australia. And so the currency with the US, Upwork ended up working out better than trying to use some other system for payments. And I think back then I was charging like $25 an hour for web design work. And but then they ended up becoming a bigger client of mine, and I did a complete redesign of their website months after I had started my business. And so that was cool, where like originally everything was $25 an hour on Upwork, but then I was growing and evolving in my business, and they were growing and evolving in their business too. And they really liked working with me and respected me. And so when I rebuilt their website, I charged it like a typical web design package through my business, and we didn't work on Upwork. And so my hourly rate was way higher for that. And so I think, yeah, for new clients, it's easy when you've like set up new systems or you're charging higher rates and kind of like have transitioned from that freelancer style way of working. But for existing clients, I think just building those strong relationships with them, and like as long as they respect you and your time and your work, and you like present yourself clearly, and you're also not like charging them some outrageous rate or like scaring them away, I think it can be done in a really respectful and nuanced way. And some of the other websites like I did for my mom and didn't charge her anything. It was like for free. But it's always like a personal preference of where it fits into your life with how much time you have and how much you're willing to give for free or for whatever rate you're charging.
Oh, thanks.
I guess I have like kind of a more personal question. But like, I know you said you went to architecture for or you went to SLO for architecture. And I was wondering if like that architectural degree at SLO, did that like impact the current path you're going on right now, or would it have been better if you like kind of applied to like a major that was more UX UI centered?
Yeah, great question. I think back then I didn't even know about UX and UI, and there weren't really any programs, especially at Cal Poly, for it. But it's crazy because I feel like my architecture degree like helped me way more with web design than with architecture. Because in school, a lot of what we were doing was coming up with these projects, and you'd build 3D models and renderings and like create posters on Illustrator and Photoshop and InDesign. And it was like using computer software to really quickly like take a concept from start to finish and articulate it. And I got extremely fast at like using software like Photoshop and Illustrator. And whereas when I worked at architecture firms, they used Revit and AutoCAD, and we didn't learn any of that in school. So you were expected to learn it on the job. And a lot of architecture too is like building codes and kind of more, technical details and things. Whereas with the web design work that I do, something that in addition to the graphic design and like utilizing online tools that architecture schools really helped is like time management and quickly making decisions with a design. And also like when I work with clients, especially on VIP days, I'm really mindful about how much time it takes to do certain things and knowing when to like stop designing and just like check in with the client first before moving ahead on certain things. And yeah, I think having that awareness of like efficiency and like, yeah, building out a project in stages of like doing a framework of it before you really go into the details and do that like full like high fidelity rendering of the final thing. Yeah, definitely. I feel like, yeah, architecture really prepared me for the work that I do now, but I was not good at design at all. Like all throughout college in my UX course with Eddie, I like didn't understand design and I didn't understand why you would use certain colors or fonts or like where to really put things. And I think just through building more websites for clients and really studying like how websites are built and some of my competitors and looking on Pinterest, I've really like become a way better designer just in the last couple of years since running my business.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, just wrapping up here with some final thoughts. I'm just so struck by how you've grown and since the last time you presented, and how innovative you've been in just crafting your services, and also that like you named something really important that I think a lot of people don't think about, which is like the resilience of being a business owner or being business literate, I guess. Where a lot of people, they dream about that full-time job and just kind of flipping that switch from like unemployed to fully employed and just dreaming about that transition. But they don't think about the layoffs and having basically your livelihood in the hands of other people that don't necessarily have your best interests at heart all the time. So being a business owner, it takes a lot longer to build that level of security. But once it's there, like there's no way all of your clients would fire you at the same time, right? I mean, maybe some of your clients would fire you, but you would always have some of the income coming in. And so ultimately, yeah, there's the trade-off, of course, of being your own boss and all of that, which is hard. But ultimately, I think what you build is like something much more resilient even than someone with a full-time job could have. So that's like, and ultimately, you also get the benefits of just feeling that empowerment of having that control over your destiny. So yeah, it really struck me this time that you're there, you've kind of gotten to that point. So.
Well, yeah, thank you for saying that, Eddie. And I think that's where building a personal brand really comes in. And like, yeah, for when you have a strong personal brand and people just know you as a person, like they're excited to hear whatever you're working on, even if you pivot in your business or career and your ideas about life change over time. Or yeah, I think just like continuing to put yourself out there and maintain solid connections with people, like both in business and in your personal life, yeah, it just really goes a long way. And yeah.
Totally. All right. Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.